Brakes in one of my cars are due, so I purchased some parts to start the overhaul. I got this remanufactured brake caliper, but thanks God, I took it apart before the installation. Those pistons are pulled out of this remanufactured brake caliper. Look at them. This one has bruises and nicks. This can lead to leaking brake fluid and air in the system. The surface of the piston should be like a mirror. On top of it, this piston is rust-pitted. The rust will surface fast and will cause brakes to lock. This brake caliper was advertised as a professional-grade rebuild brake caliper. Somebody is professionally selling poop. The second one is not better. Unfortunately, the return period has passed on it. Based on this experience, I decided to rebuild my brakes myself. Here I have brake calipers from Volvo 940, but similar calipers are used by other manufacturers. This is the rear caliper from a model without independent suspension. There are two different types. .38 and 40 mm piston. Front caliper. Up to 1991, there used to be two piston calipers and later models have one. Bigger piston setup. I will take them apart, clean, powder coat, and assemble. Brake fluid is a nasty thing. It will ruin your paint surfaces, so I use this cut-out 1-gallon container to catch it. I put the caliper into the pan, so any residue fluid will be drained there. I take out the caliper carrier. Actually, this can be done outside the pan. I set it aside and come back to the caliper. I will use this piece of wood to keep the piston from traveling too much. Now I cover it with a piece of cloth to prevent brake fluid splatter. I don't need it in my eyes. I apply about 20 psi pressure to drive the piston out of the bore. Watch my fingers! It popped. Torn dust seal introduced the moisture onto the piston, and now I have the results. The piston will not retract to the bore, causing brakes overheating. I have disassembled another caliper before this one, and the piston was also affected by rust. But not so bad. Those pistons are good for scrap only. There are two seals in the caliper. The first is protecting the bore and the piston from dust and water. The second provides a seal for the piston, so the brake fluid is contained inside the caliper. I will remove it using this hook. I have to examine the caliper if it is good for rebuilding. Removing a slide for brake pad springs. I have to shift it in order to remove it, and it is not an easy task due to the rust buildup. The slide is out. Now I am using this 6-point wrench to remove a bleeder screw and a brake hose screw. Those wrenches don't give me many chances to round screws. Here I have the bare caliper. I will wipe it dry before sandblasting. The caliper carrier. Checking condition of the sliding pins and rubber seals. This one is okay, just needs some cleaning. The second is in poor condition. Rust deformed it, so it looks like it was welded. Junk. Removing brake pad slides. I will clean it and determine if anything here is reusable. Rear caliper. Rubber seals were held to the caliper with those springs. There is another type of seals with springs incorporated into the rubber, so those can be pushed onto the lip. Here I had springs. I will push the pistons out. Wooden divider. The cloth to protect from splatter. Watch the fingers! Popped. But only one. I have to move the other. I push back the one that I know is sliding. This spreader comes handy for this job. I can't apply too much pressure. I have to work it into the sweet spot to make it go easily into the bore. Okay, there is enough room for the other piston to come out. I will hold now the sliding piston in place with a clamp. Divider, cloth, pressure, popped. Now I have to disassemble this. When I know that the pistons are moving, I can take them out using 2 screwdrivers. Using this lip on the piston, I pry it out of the bore. Popped. The second one is out. I check them. Pistons are in perfect shape compared to those from the caliper I have purchased. I will clean it, open it, and change internal seals. Getting calipers ready for sandblasting. I will use an old seal. Checking if it sits properly, not twisted. And now I will push this old piston into the bore. Lubricating with brake fluid to ease assembly. You can ask why I took it apart and now I assemble it with old parts. Simple. I had to check if it was good for rebuilding. Special tool to push the piston in. This time it goes easy. The piston will protect internals during sandblasting. I don't want aluminum oxide inside. I will use old bleeding screws to protect channels. Brake hose has the same thread as the bleeding screw. I will put rubber caps here. Done. Caliper carrier getting ready for sandblasting. I must protect guiding pin channels. Ready. Rear caliper. Seals are already in, and I will use pistons from the professional grade Remanufactured caliper that I purchased. Those are good only for this purpose. The tool. Trying to push them in. I don't use much force. I let go and try again. I must find the sweet spot. Going nice and easy now. The second. I lubricate it with brake fluid. Working to find the right angle. And it goes. I will close the channels and into Sandblaster it goes. Here they are after sandblasting. I used a wire brush to clean them a little bit more. Now I will take apart the rear calipers and change internal seals. Old out, new in, and masking for powder coating. I use this kind of system for powder coating. The gun, with powder container. Electrically charged powder is pushed out by air pressure up to 30 psi. The compressed air plugs in here. Pressure regulator. Alligator clip for charging the object that is powdered. While pressing the trigger, one must step on the pedal to run the high voltage generator. Obviously, protection is a must. Checking if the powder covered everything. Sweet. To the oven it goes. The oven preheated to 400 Fahrenheit. As soon as the powder starts to melt, I count 20 minutes and remove them from the heat. Just hanging there. Rear calipers, same story. Those are so ready now. See you in the next video where I will assemble them.